Hey engineering students, welcome to the second video in week 4. We are hopefully moving through your role-playing game that you're doing. I really hope you didn't put off the first video until late, otherwise you're not going to have much to show for yet. But remember, the first assignment was kind of a first draft, and now we want to polish it off in the next few days. I don't mean for you to take 5 hours to do this, as I probably have so far, but I do want you to have something to show for. This can be very simple, but I want you to get the idea. So today I'm going to keep the video a little short so you can get back to doing your coding. I'm just going to walk you through a little bit of what my Asteroid Miner game does, and I'll share the link in the assignment too. And then I'll quickly code for you as you watch, like a really simple version of more like a puzzle solving game, and you might get some ideas to elements you want to incorporate in. So this is a little bit of kind of inspiration stuff. I don't plan on really teaching you anything new, although I might polish off some things that I've seen people do wrong. Okay, so Asteroid Miner. So I think I did show this to you last time, but we're just going to make sure we import a random num generator, because random events are more enjoyable typically than predetermined things. We got some intro stuff. We've got a little pause screen. By the way, I was going to look up, maybe one of you wants to look at this, if there's any way to create pauses in games, like time related, like, you know, wait 500 milliseconds or something, just to add a time-ish element. These are the things that I wanted to make sure that my ship was defined as. I could have done fewer or more, but I have 3 different ship types, and I have a certain amount of cargo space. I have a speed, I have an ammo capacity, and a hull capacity. Now, note some important things here. I'm telling Python to treat these things as integers from the start, as I define it. I'm saying this is an integer because in my first mention, I'm putting an integer value. The 0 is clearly a placeholder. We're going to fill it in with other stuff later. Now, something else you're going to quickly run into as you try to build this RPG game is for something like cargo, or let's say ammo or hull, there's really 2 variables going on. You firstly need like cargo space, like this is my capacity that I could fill, but then as the game goes on, you'll need a second variable, which is like, I don't know, current cargo, or, you know, maybe just call that cargo. When it came to ammo, I used the word ammo, the variable ammo, to refer to how much ammo I possibly could have. Like, this is my ammo capacity, really would actually have been a better variable name. And then later on, I realized that I had to invent another variable called ammo actual, which is how much I have. As I say, maybe ammo and ammo capacity might have been a more natural way to refer to it. Money came up later as well, by the way. Location came up later, and that was a text string. Here's my hull actual. So the idea, going back to what I was talking about, the idea is that some of these variables will actually remain as fixed constants. Okay? You won't have those change. They'll get set at the start of the game, and those will be compared to like ammo actual or hull actual. That's the one which changes, like the hull strength goes down as you receive hits from the enemy, but your hull general capacity, that is set at the start of the game and doesn't change. So I run through, I ask them which asteroid miner they would like to fly. I give 3 options. You don't have to do this. I was just want to have some fun. I always like it in games where you can pick your character at the start, and that will affect the way that you play the game from then on. I really forced the hand when it came to input. I only gave options that were numerical in every instance, said 1, 2, or 3. And this here, let's see, 3 lines. These 3 lines are really important, and I use this throughout actually. This is my data validation method. Okay, this is me rejecting any kind of input which doesn't match what I'm looking for. So when I ask them, which asteroid miner would you like to fly, heavy cargo freighter, mid-sized cruiser, or light space yacht, 1, 2, or 3, I don't want them to type in ping pong ball or 86 or negative pi. I want a 1 or a 2 or a 3. So this is simple but effective. It just says while that input is not equal to 1, and notice that's the character 1, by the way, text character, not integer. While ship is not equal to 1, and ship is not equal to 2, and ship is not equal to 3, I want to keep asking for more input. I want to keep posing the same question. It doesn't put the question up, but it keeps on requesting input. And honestly, the user gets pretty bored if they're typing in ridiculous things pretty fast. They want the game to progress, so they'll very naturally eventually type in 1, 2, or 3, and then that will break this while loop, because it's going to get to here. It's going to say, is ship not equal to 1? And that's going to come back as false, because they typed 1, so that's not true. That breaks this while loop, and it's going to move on to line 19. And line 19 is where it takes what was input and it quickly converts it into an integer. Looking back on this, I think I could have actually just put the input, I could have just made that convert to an integer right here, and then I could have checked these as integers. That would have saved me line 19 and been a little more of an efficient code. I'm not going to mess with it right now, but I probably just should have done that. Okay, and then actually, yeah, and then when I reposed the question here, I would have also made sure that was making it an integer. I guess, actually, alternatively, I didn't really need to create an integer out of that text. See, later on now, I check and I say if ship type is 1, and notice how it's green, that's an integer. I suppose, again, I could have skipped the integer thing and looked for a text string of the number 1. However, I do like integers because then you can do calculations on them if you ever need to. Not likely that would happen in this case, but yeah, integers are typically a little more useful. You can do a little more with them than text. Text is just text. But yeah. All right, then I give a little description based on what they choose. Good choice. The heavy cargo freighter carries a lot of ore, although it is slow moving. Is armed with 2 missiles. Notice I put a lot of new paragraphs in here, new line breaks with my \n. That's because I'm noticing with this text rendering output, it doesn't do well when the text flows line to line. Sometimes it does like typos and things, like the text is kind of on top of other text. So I'm actually forcing it to go to new line breaks just to keep it all in more of a tight column. All right, and then when my ship choice is chosen, then I define all of those variables which I created back here. Now I actually drop numbers in. Again, looking back, I probably didn't need to define them up front. It would have been sufficient to have this as the defining moment. I think I was just sort of typing stuff and just trying to think it through from the beginning, and so I wrote those down. All right, I'm doing my if, elif, else. Notice I didn't waste time doing elif ship type equals 3, even though there are 3 ship types, because logically, if it's not 1, if it's not 2, you can just happily type else. It had to have been 3 because of my data validation back here. Only permitted 1, 2, or 3 to get entered. Good trick. You should use it. All right, some more initial conditions. Gave myself some money. Money doesn't require like an upper limit and then a changing, or like an upper constant and then a changing amount. Money, just money. It only needs one variable to take care of it. Use text for a location. I had 2 locations, base and elsewhere. I treated all other places as elsewhere and then had the base. If I was going to make this more interesting, more complex, I could have had different like kind of stages or levels that you might have traveled to. Limited only by my imagination and the time that I have to code. Come up with planet names. I almost thought of doing a random planet name generator, by the way, that would randomly choose like a first syllable, second syllable, and third syllable, and would like, you know, yeah, that could be fun. To do that, you'd have to know how to generate lists in Python. I might show that to you in a second. Hold on, because that could be fun. Hull, cargo. I was going to show you guys lists. I decided not to, but maybe I will. All right. Now, my biggest function that I created here was my fight function, because I just had, there's a lot that goes on in the fighting. And again, there's some ways that I would clean this up. Oops, there's a line there I don't really need. Also defined what it meant to go to a new system, what it meant to search for ore, what it meant to return to base. These are just all the actions that I can pick depending on what's happening. Buy missile, repair, sell ore, and that was it. And again, I want to emphasize this thing. I did say it last time, but I just can't say this, how important this is. If you have variables that you've defined outside of the function, but you want to use them within functions, you must speak them out again with the keyword global. You have to say global speed, and that's referring back to the speed that was here, and that brings the variable inside the function. If you didn't do that, if I didn't have this line 51, then when I refer to speed, it's as though it has seen it for the first time. It's actually only within that function. And so it's actually not going to know what to do with it, because you don't, I didn't define it. This is the first place that it appears, and it hasn't been defined, so it would return an error back to me and say, I have no idea what speed is. You didn't tell me about that one. So global speed brings it in and also lets it speak out to the rest of the Python code as well. It makes it cross all the boundaries and become global. All right, we used random, rand range a whole lot in this. Again, this is giving this one here. Who first? This is in a battle. This is in a fight subroutine. This is simply kind of flipping a coin and saying who gets to shoot first. And I just randomized it. I flipped a coin, 50% chance. I said, give me a random range starting from 1, not including 3, counting in ones. In other words, 1 or 2. Okay, pick a number between 1 and 2, inclusive. That's what this line 60 is doing. Oops. Here we go. Flipping a coin. And if who first equals 1, then the Dread Space Pirate Robert fires a missile. If the, else, nope, down here, sorry. Else, well, I would like to fire a missile, but in my else statement, if I'm the one who shoots first, it actually also does a check in my program to see if I even have any missiles in stock. If I do have some missiles, if my actual ammo is more than 0, then I fire a missile before he does. This line here takes away one of my missiles because I fired it. This is this little plus equals trick, okay, which remember is this is the same as doing that, okay? This is the same as redefining the variable in terms of itself, but adding stuff to it. But that's a little more elegant way to do it, okay? That's just like ticking a variable up or down by some amount that you specify, including negative numbers. When I fired off my missile, I did another random number generator, another coin flip, 50% chance, direct hit. You got the Dread Space Pirate Robert, get his wreckage. I gave myself 20 coins. And then I also had a little variable inside my, this one was not global, but purely within the fight subroutine. It only comes up a few times, well, more than a few times, but this is a way to even decide like simple things like, is a person in a staying state or are they in a leaving state? So my 0 for my stay state was saying like, no, I'm not staying. I don't want this routine to run again. I want to leave. My intention is to leave. It happens also if at the end of each combat round I say that I want to leave, that also puts my stay state at 0. Otherwise, I think, oh, there we go. I did define it, but I didn't define it globally. I put stay equals 1, in other words, 1, like on, I'm there. And if that ever hits 0, see that, as long as stay is 1, that means I'm in the game, I'm there. If it ever hits 0, which can happen if I die or if, yeah, actually, that needs to, yeah. Like, you know, this is one bug I still haven't fixed. When the Dread Space Pirate Robot kills me, gets me down to a hull actual of 0, I wanted the story to come to an end. I need to search and find a command that does that. I don't know if there's like end, no. Looks like that is not a Python thing. And all, oops. Break all, break point, nah. Well, I'll leave it as is, but I need a way for the whole program to terminate. All right, here's more very simple data validation, okay? I'm just checking anytime anyone inputs a numerical thing. I really just copied and pasted the same code, but changed the variable name each time. While it is not equal to and not equal to the options I want, keep on asking the question. Okay, I highly recommend you use data validation like that. Okay. The rest of it just kind of feels pretty similar. Like if I choose to go mining, if I choose to search for ore, I had a random generator that told me how much ore I would find, a number between 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. It also cost me a certain random amount of money to go searching for ore because you got to burn fuel to do that. And by the way, did you notice I didn't use a fuel variable? I could have done fuel. I decided to just keep it at money. Fuel costs money. I just did it like that. Okay, here's more data validation for would you like to mine it? 1 or 2. Got to get those numbers. Won't accept anything else. When I mined my ore, I checked. I added. Oh, look at this. Look what I didn't do here. I didn't do the plus equals thing. Maybe I will. Plus equals. There you go. A little more of an elegant code there. But I did check and I said, hey, when I've added the amount of ore that I mined into my cargo, if that exceeds the cargo space, remember cargo space is the max amount of cargo that I can hold. If it exceeds that, then just dial it back and make it equal to that, okay? So if it ever bumps over, just quickly bring it back down to the actual cargo capacity level, because it wouldn't make sense if you could mine more ore than what your cargo capacity was. If I didn't choose to mine, oh, look at that, I could have also, here's another way I could have been more elegant. Since I only have 2 options for mining, yes or no, I don't need to have 1 and 2. I only need to put 1 and then I can do else. All right, I return to base. When I return to base or when I fly out, that's when I created a randomizer as to whether the pirate would attack me. Okay, I do this coming and going. Anytime, actually I think I did it for mining ore as well. I did, here we go. So when you choose to search for ore, as you search for ore, you could get attacked by the pirate. And in all of these cases, I did a 25% chance. That is what line 139 does. Hope you can see that. Line 139 gives a 25% chance for a problem to happen. Okay, because we got numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, counting in ones. It generates the random number, and if you get a 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, Dread Pirate Robot, we go to the fight function. Now notice that you can have functions within functions. That's totally fine. Functions can live within functions. Otherwise, you punch the hyperdrive. Back home, buying missiles. Buying missiles costs you a little bit of money. Again, I check to see if I need to have at least $15, 15 credits to buy a missile. I also need to check that I don't already have a full ammo bank. Okay, if I already am at the amount. In this case, I did an equals, like an equivalent. If the ammo is equal to actual, I can do that safely because I'm buying ammo in single unit increments. So it would never ever be above the actual ammo capacity. Sorry, ammo actual would never be above ammo. Because see right here, when I buy my ammo, I buy it in increments of 1 and I give up 15 credits to do that. And I get a little message, a little bit of feedback. You restocked a missile, well done. If I didn't have enough money on this line, it goes to the else and says, oops, no money for that. You need 15 credits. Okay, I have a very similar algorithm for repairing. I bring in the money variable, the hull actual, the hull. I need to firstly check I have enough money. I need to secondly check that my hull strength is not higher than my hull integrity capacity max. And then otherwise, if everything is clear, I add 1 to my hull and I subtract 10 from my money. And then I also gave a little status report because I realized I didn't have this at first and I was kind of repairing it, but I didn't know what my hull actually was. This looks a little complex, but it's actually just doing a percentage. I said your hull is repaired by, and then I do 1 divided by hull. Now, what that is doing, hull is my maximum hull hit points, if you like. So when I do 1 divided by that, and then multiply that by 100, that actually gives me the percent that each hull unit is worth. Let me show you what I mean here. So for example, if I have a hull capacity of 5 units, then 1 over hull is 1 over 5, which equals 0.2. Then multiplied by 100 gives me 20%. So in other words, what that's going to tell me is your hull got repaired by 20%. So I think my little light, quick, zippy spaceship has like only 5 hull, so each point is worth 20%. But my big, bulky freighter has like 20 hull, so each one is only worth 5%. So it's got more to give, but each you got to pay a lot more to get it back up again. All right, selling the ore. For selling ore, I had 2 random things going on. I firstly had a randomizer between 1 to 5 as to how much I could sell, like in other words, who was in the marketplace that wanted to buy, and then I had a randomizer for how much money. And for whatever reason, I just chose between 3 and 12. Just kind of felt right for the game. And then it actually multiplies the sell amount by the price, and then it adds that to my money. Look, I could do this again. Plus equals. And right here. Negative sell amount. I think that'll work. Negative sell amount. But yeah. And that's recognizing the fact that my cargo goes down by whatever my sell amount was. In other words, I need to lose cargo as I sell it. So you got to think of all these things. Like you got all these variables. If you're trading dragon's skulls for gold coins, you got to make sure your dragon skulls goes down as your coins goes up. If you have no order sell, nobody's interested in you. And now here's my master loop. and I did show you this last time, but I'll show it to you again. My master loop is simply saying while I have more than $0, then I run through the options. I have one set of options that happens if I'm at my base. Because if you're at your base, you can repair stuff, you can sell stuff, you can restock ammo, or you can leave. However, if my location is elsewhere, I only have two options. I can either go back home or I can search for ore. I think it'd be a more interesting game if there was maybe another thing you could do, whatever that would be, or if maybe different places, different locations gave you different options. But, you know, I can return to base or I can search for ore. If that while loop ever breaks, then I am out of cash and I lose. All right, so that is the whole game. I'd like to fly a mid-sized cruiser. Good job, it's got 6 missiles. What do you want to do? I'm going to travel to a new system. I'm attacked by the dreaded space pirate Robert. I have 6 missiles, 100% hull capacity, and so the game goes on. Okay, let me show you now maybe a slightly different style of game. Let's say this is more like a mystery to solve. Okay, let's say there are 3 rooms. Okay, so this could be like the Egyptian solving puzzle chamber thing, or like an escape room, let's say. Okay, like a mystery to solve or escape room. And in this case, I think it would almost be helpful, if it depends how complex this got, to like kind of draw out how this could work. Like I would picture like you start in one room maybe, and then there's a room to the left and a room to the right. And you want to make sure that those connect up in the correct way in the game. So I would say firstly, like let's create a variable called location, and is antechamber, is an antechamber like a first room? I think it is. I think that's the first place you kind of step into in a pyramid, the antechamber. So we set our location, and maybe we have like health is 5. You don't need to create 2 health variables, like a max and an actual, if you can only ever lose health. You can just start with a certain amount of health, and then it could just whittle down until your health was 0. I would, I think I would create some, what did I forget? Colon. I think I would create some, let's see. It's not as nice to just create the placeholders first and then come back to it. So, and you know, I'm really just trying to get in the habit of doing like comment in, \n. You enter the antechamber. It's good to have some code there, otherwise the program doesn't like it when you run it. What's another room? I'd say to the left is the burial chamber. This is kind of Egyptian pyramid style. Boop. You enter the burial chamber. And there's going to be a treasure room. Print. Oops. You enter the treasure room. Okay. So I would create all those first, and within those would be a completely different set of things that could happen. Like I think these functions would actually get quite complex now. I'd like to try to get to that. And then here's my master loop now. While health is greater than 0, let's see. I'd say, how could we do this? We'd say if location equals antechamber, then I do choice, maybe choice equals input. You might do you want to leave the antechamber. Actually, no, if I'm in the antechamber, I'd probably say, do you want to go to the left or the right? Okay. And this might be a good, one of those good ones to like do like, firstly force the lowercase, just to at least take like capital, if they answer right with a capital R, that at least gets rid of that. And now I think I would do that validation thing. I would say, while choice does not equal left, and choice does not equal right, then just keep asking for that input. Okay. And I would have to keep forcing it into lowercase every time it gets entered. Okay, so it's going to keep on checking that. And then what are we going to do? Then we do now, if choice equals left, then I'm going to run burial chamber. Else, remember I don't need to do right because there's only two options that could have come out there. Oops. Treasure room. All right. Now I'd obviously keep going down the line here. This would now be LF, oops, LF location equals burial chamber. Okay, and then I'd have a very similar set of things here. You can really kind of copy and paste pretty quickly, I think. Just be careful that the spacing carries through. Sometimes it doesn't. Now this one would be more like, do you want to leave or stay? And notice it's totally fine that I keep using the variable choice. It's kind of a disposable variable. It just gets quickly used and then quickly put aside. You don't need a new variable for every one of these. If choice equals leave, then I think we're going back into the antechamber. Otherwise, we're actually staying in the burial chamber. And then in that case, it would run through whatever the options were in our burial chamber function up here. Okay, and then you have a similar thing here, except this time you would, yeah, see that? Spacing didn't quite work. We need to go back to this one. Again, I'm not going to say LF treasure room, I'm just going to say else, because there should be only 3 possible options. So we save time. Do you want to leave or stay? If you leave, you go to antechamber, else you stay in the treasure room. Okay, I think this would actually run right now as is. Let's see, always look for bugs. You know, okay, let's start off. Let's actually have a little opening sequence, because it just jumps right in. I have no context at all. Print. Welcome to the Pharaoh's, did I spell it right? Tomb. You start your adventure in the antechamber of the Great Pyramid. There is a door to the left and a door to the right. Now again, I'm already thinking here, man, when I step in, I want to actually give the option to stay first off. So really I should probably say, do you want to stay, go to the left, or go to the right? Staying is an option. And so I need to put in 1 here for all of those. There we go. And then I need to put it in here as well. Oops. Antechamber. And did I do? I can't remember. Nope. Antechamber is one word, so I didn't do the capitalization thing. This needs to be LF. There you go. All right, let's try that again. Welcome to first stream. Sorry, antechamber. See what I mean about the text wrapping? In fact, I'm going to fix that right here. I would rather do a new line. Let's try that again. This is how it works. You're just constantly clicking. I like that. That's better. Welcome to first tomb. You start your adventure in the antechamber of the Great Pyramid. Don't stay, go left. Stay into the... See, I don't want to say you enter, do I? It doesn't make any sense. You are in the antechamber, because that is a phrase which would work either way. This is what it means to debug, people. Stay. I'm going to stay. Antechamber. Stay, go left. And go to left. You're in the burial chamber. Ooh, that's weird. If I'm in the burial chamber, I don't want all three options, do I? Oh, you know what I didn't do? I totally forgot. I wasn't updating my location as I went. So probably the very first thing I would do is I would bring in the location variable into each of those functions, and I would update it each time location equals antechamber. Did you catch that? Yeah, very important. Spaces are messing up there. Location equals burial chamber. You know, I could actually, I think I'll do the correct spelling, because then if I ever needed to use that variable in like a print function, I could actually bring it in and use it. You are in the, like, here's what I mean. You are in the there's no real need to do this. I'm just showing you that that's one reason why you might actually write that correctly. Didn't like that, huh? Line 21, it did not like that. Plus location. Okay, I don't know why right now. Oh, wait, I see. I'm missing some quotes. Let's try that. There we go. Stay. You're in the antechamber. Left. You're in the burial chamber. You're gonna leave a stay. Stay? Oh boy. I'm suddenly in the treasure room. I don't know. Okay. I am gonna stop the video. Not because it's going wrong, but because I could do this all day, and I wanted this to be a little bit of a shorter video. But this is the kind of structure you might build for more of the problem solving, treasure hunting, story kind of one. You could have as many stages as you wanted, and as I said, in each of these functions, you would have a lot going on. I would encourage you to have, like, you know, it could ask you for a password, like the golem at the door asks for the password, and it waits until you come up with the right word. And you could do like a logic thing, like if the word in, like use that logic thing in, like if text in a variable, then the golem says, okay, you may pass, you may enter, and you get to go through all that kind of stuff. You could have a randomizer, like as to what happens in there. Do spiders jump out at you and take a life away? Does a trapdoor open up and kill you? Try to keep the gameplay going. It's never fun when you just get killed and lost straight away. Okay, there's a lot of a skill to this. But I think you got plenty there. So I'm going to look over your submissions and try to give you some feedback before the end of the week. And if anyone wants more time to drag this out and make it even cooler, I think I'm open to that. All right, thanks guys. I'll leave it there. See you around.